Hello, welcome to the Koios tuition channel and the expanding brackets video. In this video, we're going to go through 6 examples on expanding brackets. The first 3 examples, we're going to go through a simple expanding of brackets where we only have one bracket to expand. Then we'll move on to 2 examples where we have to multiply 2 brackets together, and we'll discuss the different methods we can use to expand 2 brackets together. First the FOIL method, then the piecewise expansion, and we'll briefly mention some other methods. And finally, in example 6, we're going to do 3 brackets multiplied together. So, let's get on with it. Alright, starting with example 1, we have to expand 2 multiplied by a bracket, inside which we have x plus 5. So we have 2 times x plus 5. And in these types of questions, I like to think that we have to do 2 loads of this bracket. So we have 2 loads of x's and 2 loads of 5's. So when you expand this, you do 2 times x, 2 loads of x's, and 2 times 5, 2 loads of 5's. And now that we've expanded the bracket, you simplify. 2 multiplied by x is 2x, and 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. So the answer is 2x plus 10. Okay, example 2. It's similar to example 1. We have 3 multiplied by x minus 2. So we have 3 loads of x's and 3 loads of negative 2's. So when you expand this, you do 3 times x and 3 times minus 2. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. And the answer is 3x minus 6. Example 3. We have 2x multiplied by a bracket in which we have x minus 3. So we have 2x multiplied by x minus 3. And again, just like the previous 2 examples, we multiply the 2x by every single term inside the bracket. We have 2x loads of x's and 2x loads of minus 3's. So 2x times x and 2x times minus 3. Now to simplify, 2x multiplied by x is 2x squared. 2x multiplied by minus 3 is minus 6x. So the answer is 2x squared minus 6x. Okay, and example 4. It's slightly more complicated than the previous 3 examples because we now have 2 brackets multiplied by each other, but it's the type of question you'll be expected to do a lot of. There's a lot of these questions to be done in the exam. So, there are many ways of actually expanding these 2 brackets put together. I'm going to go through 2 of the methods here, step by step, the FOIL method and what I like to call piecewise expansion. I will also briefly mention how to use other methods such as the Smiley face method, the Crescent method, and the grid method. So, starting with FOIL, if I copy down the question, we have x plus 3 in the first bracket and x minus 2 in the second bracket. With FOIL, what you'll want to do is write down the 4 letters, FOIL. It's an acronym and it tells you the order in which you have to multiply things together. And the letters stand for first, outer, inner, last. What we do is we're going to highlight the first 2 terms together or join them up. So the first terms in each bracket is x and x. X is the first term in the left bracket, x is the first term in the second bracket. So these are the 2 first terms that we'll multiply together. Then we have the outer, So we multiply the outer terms, and the outer terms in this expression is x and minus 2. Then we have the inner terms, that's the 3 and the x, because they're closest to the inside of the two brackets. And finally we multiply the last terms together, that's the last terms in each bracket, which is plus 3 and minus 2. So the first terms multiplied together, x multiplied by x. Then we have the outer terms multiplied together, and that is x multiplied by minus 2. Then we have the inner terms multiplied together, and that's 3 multiplied by x. And finally we have the last terms multiplied together, which is 3 multiplied by minus 2. And now that we've expanded the bracket, we need to simplify this. X multiplied by x is x squared, x multiplied by minus 2 is minus 2x, 3 multiplied by x is 3x, and 3 multiplied by minus 2 is minus 6. Last step, collect like terms. These two terms in the middle, they will combine together, and so minus 2x plus 3x gives us plus x, and so the answer is x squared plus x minus 6. The second method of expanding two brackets together, sticking with example 4, which was x plus 3 in one bracket, x minus 2 in the other bracket, is what I like to call piecewise expansion. What we're going to do is we're going to take each term in the first bracket and multiply it by all of the second bracket. And we'll do the same thing for the second term in the first bracket, so that 3 is going to be multiplied by all of x minus 2. So, we're going to write x multiplied by x minus 2 and 3 multiplied by x minus 2. So we took the first term in the first bracket and multiplied it by all of the second bracket, and we took the second term in the first bracket and multiplied it by all of the second bracket. And now what you see is that we have two expressions here that are very similar to examples 1, 2, and 3. So what we do is we multiply the x by x and x minus 2. Then we do 3 times x and 3 times minus 2. So we expand these separately. X times x, and then we have x multiplied by minus 2. From this term we have 3 multiplied by x and 3 multiplied by minus 2. Now we need to simplify this. X times x is x squared, x times minus 2 is minus 2x, 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. The last thing to do is to collect like terms, and again, these two terms in the middle combine. So minus 2x plus 3x gives me plus x, and so the answer is again x squared plus x minus 6. And now lastly with example 4, I'm just going to briefly mention the other methods of expanding. So first, with the smiley face method, if I copy the question down first, what you do is you draw arcs at the top and at the bottom of the question that resembles smiley face, and that also gives you a clue as to which terms to multiply together. So you draw an arc like this, like this, like this, and like this, and this sort of resembles eyebrows, a nose, and a mouth here. And if you remember from the FOIL method, we ended up with something very similar. In fact, we ended up with the same arcs linking the same things. So you can see that the smiley face method and FOIL method are just two different ways of remembering the order for multiplying things together. The other method, being the crescent moon method, is you draw arcs like so, And these arcs here are the same as these here, they're just rearranged. So this arc linking x and minus 2, it's on the top here and it's at the bottom here. And the reason it's called a crescent moon is if you join them up at the top and at the bottom, the shape resembles a crescent moon. Again, it's just a different way of remembering which terms you have to multiply together in these two brackets. The last method I want to show you is the grid method. So if you draw a grid like this, and you put the brackets in the squares up here and down here, for example, the first bracket x plus 3, you'd write it at the top, x plus 3, and the second bracket x minus 2, you'd write on the side. What you now do is you're going to multiply each of the terms in the column and the rows to get some terms here. So x times x is x squared, x times minus 2 is minus 2x, plus 3 multiplied by x is 3x, and finally 3 multiplied by minus 2 is minus 6. And now what you do is you're going to take those four terms here and you're going to add them together. X squared plus 3x minus 2x minus 6. You simplify. X squared plus x minus 6. And we've ended up with the same answer as the previous two methods, the FOIL and the piecewise expansion. So what you can see is that each of these methods and the other two that I've shown before, they end up with the same answer. They're just a different way of remembering which terms you have to multiply together to expand two brackets together. And now moving on to example 5, we're multiplying 2x minus 1 in the first bracket and 3x plus 7 in the second bracket. I'm going to use FOIL method. It is my preferred method for expanding out two brackets. So F, we multiply the first terms together. O, we multiply the outer terms together. I, we multiply the inner terms together. And L, we multiply the last terms together. 2x multiplied by 3x. And 2x multiplied by 7. And minus 1 multiplied by 3x. And finally minus 1 multiplied by 7. So, now we simplify these. 2x multiplied by 3x is 6x squared. 2x multiplied by 7 is 14x. Minus 1 multiplied by 3x is minus 3x. And 1 times 7 minus 1 times 7 is minus 7. Last thing to do, collect like terms. These two terms in the middle combine. Plus 14x minus 3x gives me plus 11x. So I have this. And so the final answer is 6x squared plus 11x minus 7. And finally, example 6, we need to expand three brackets multiplied together, x plus 1 in the first bracket, x minus 2 in the second bracket, and x plus 3 in the third bracket. What you need to do when expanding these three brackets is to first consider two of the brackets by themselves, expand these two in the same manner we've done in example 4 and 5, and then once you've done that, you then expand by the third bracket. So, if we use FOIL method to multiply out, to expand out the first two brackets, first terms, x times x multiplied by x is x squared, O outsides, x multiplied by minus 2, minus 2x, I inside plus 1 multiplied by x is plus x, and L last terms plus 1 multiplied by minus 2 is minus 2. So we have expanded these two brackets. We still have to multiply it all by x plus 3. Now we want to simplify this before we expand. So we have x squared minus 2x plus x combined together to give me minus x and minus 2. So now that we've expanded and simplified the first two brackets, we need to multiply it out by the third bracket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each term in this square bracket here and multiply it by all of the third bracket. Then I'm going to take x squared and multiply it by the bracket x plus 3. I'm going to take minus x and multiply it by x plus 3, and then the minus 2 multiplied by x plus 3. So we end up with x squared multiplied by x plus 3 and minus x, so that's minus x multiplied by x plus 3 and minus 2 multiplied by x plus 3. So now we expand them each individually. We expand this term, then we expand this, and finally we expand this out. X squared multiplied by x, that's x cubed. X multiplied by 3, x squared multiplied by 3, that's 3x squared. Minus x multiplied by x is minus x squared. Minus x multiplied by 3 is minus 3x. Minus 2 multiplied by x is minus 2x, and minus 2 multiplied by 3 is minus 6. Now we need to collect like terms. What we see is that this term here, x cubed, is the only term with x cubed, so it won't simplify. Likewise with the minus 6 at the end here, it's the only term without any x, so it won't simplify. But the plus 3x squared and the minus x squared, they are both in terms of x squared. They will simplify together. And minus 3x and minus 2x, they'll simplify together because they are both in terms of x. X cubed stays as it is. Plus 3x squared minus x squared combined together to give me plus 2x squared. Minus 3x minus 2x gives me minus 5x. Finally we have the minus 6. And so the answer is x cubed plus 2x squared minus 5x minus 6.